My pleasure.
Well, Mr. Falana, two issues here. One, the pardon, clemency, commutal sentence by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The gazettes have now been issued. 175 persons originally on the list, now 120. Now, where did the Attorney General and Minister of Justice of the Federation, where did he go wrong? Because he was the chairman of that committee. And yesterday we were saying on this program that there should be sanctions, that committee on the prerogative of mercy should be disbanded and new persons should be appointed. Because what we have seen, as many have argued, not just us on this table, is a case of dereliction of duty, exposing the president of Nigeria to utter embarrassment. That's one. The second one is about the demolitions in Abuja and in Lagos, either in Owuronshiki or Trade Fair, which have both attracted ethnic, religious interpretations. Well, you have been defending the powerless, but what remedy is available to them? Particularly in Lagos State, where the government is saying that, look, they are defending the rule of law and that they have powers under the Supreme Court ruling of 2013 to determine the quality of physical planning in Lagos State. But you seem to have a different opinion. And Lagos State says we have even paid compensation anyway. So what are the lawyers saying?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, we have to realize that we are operating under a democratic system of government. By virtue of Section 43 of the Constitution, every Nigerian has the fundamental right to live in any part of the country, to acquire property in any part of the country. This is also guaranteed by Article 14 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Now, the entire provisions of Chapter 4 cannot be derogated from. None of the provisions of Chapter 4 can be violated or breached by the government without following due process. In other words, when it comes to demolition, there are provisions of the law in Lagos and the FCT, and indeed in all states in Nigeria. With respect to Lagos, you have the urban and regional planning law. In Abuja, you have the Urban and Regional Planning Act. Under both laws, there are specific provisions dealing with giving of statutory notices and bodies to entertain complaints. And if those complaints fail, it is the appeal committee that can order demolition. No governor, no minister has the power under the current constitutional arrangement or legal system to decide that Dr. Reuben Abati's house has not complied, or in the building of the house has not complied with certain provisions of the law. Therefore, I'm going to demolish the house. Nobody has such power in Nigeria. You have to go to court to say the owner of this house has violated the law. We want to demolish the house in line with the provisions of the law. And the court will look at it and say, please go ahead. But in the case of Abuja and Lagos, in the case of Abuja, there is a regional and urban tribunal set up by the government to determine when a house should go down. In Abuja, the minister has not, he cannot usurp the powers of that regional tribunal, In fact, in 2017, the Attorney General of the country made rules and for the procedure that will operate in that tribunal. That tribunal is here. We have, and is constituted by competent people in the building industry. Now, that body is not allowed to perform its functions. So it is illegal on the part of the minister to say, I'm going to continue to demolish houses. In fact, the illegality was taken to a very embarrassing level when recently the minister ordered or threatened to seal off 34 embassies in Abuja, or 34 buildings hosting embassies in Abuja, and I had to come out to warn the government against violating the provisions of the Vienna Convention. It does not allow you to collect ground rent.
All right.
Or taxes collected from citizens.
Oh, he hasn't responded.
And I pointed out that those embassies are extraterritorial. You can't move there and say, oh, because you have not paid ground rent, I will see you off. No, you can't seal off a building again without a court order. So, coming back to Lagos, in this particular instance, those whose houses were going to be demolished, those who were not paid compensation, ran to us, to our law firm, and we took their instructions and approached the Lagos State High Court. And the court saw the urgency and the need to preserve the rest. So on Thursday last week, the court granted an order. Thou shalt not do it until this matter will be properly heard. On Friday, the following day, certified true copies of the orders were served on appropriate government agencies and officials. But on Saturday night, in the dead of the night, bulldozers invaded Oworoshoki.
Okay.
And when I got information, I called government official. You cannot do it.
Okay.
We have served you the order.
Mr. Falano, just to save time.
And one of them threat, we are going to do it. Heavens will not fall.
Well, we'll see whether heavens will fall. Heavens never fall around here. And people in power get away with what they want to do. But to take you back very quickly to the Attorney General of the Federation and the list of pardon, clemency, and commutal of sentences. Do you see dereliction of duty here? Do you think that heads must roll? What do you think is responsible for the sloppiness or the shoddiness, as I prefer to say?
Well, it is not the first time that that exercise has been mishandled. But this time around, the country was exposed to odium. And there was no basis for it. Those who were not deserving of pardon were recommended for pardon. No. I mean, I take one for instance. The EFCC had prosecuted a guy for 11 years. He was convicted in April this year and sentenced to terms of imprisonment. His name was on that list. Victims, those who were convicted under state laws found their way. Were put on the list. Now, by virtue of Section 212 of the Constitution, only the governor of a state can pardon people convicted for stealing, obtaining by false pretenses, murder, or culpable homicide. But all those names were there. Now, it is not enough to say we have reviewed the list we now want to reduce one